Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So if you're looking to build a home gym, there is some essential piece of equipment that is necessary for anybody, any home gym, whether you're in the basement, in the garage, some other special room, whether you're a bodybuilder, powerlifter, crossfitter, whatever the case is, there's just some essentials that every single home gym needs. And without any further ado, let's go ahead and get started on number one. So the number one on my list is the power rack. The power rack, I think, is the most important piece in any home gym, no matter what your goal is, and there's a reason why. So when you're picking a rack, one of the most important things to do is to make sure you future-proof it. So if you're thinking about adding a lat and low row, if you're thinking about adding a dip bar, if you're thinking about potentially squatting over 700 pounds, 800 pounds, doing some insane weight, you need to make sure that the rack that you choose accommodates any future visions and goals that you have for your home gym. Now, me personally, I went with the PR5000 V2. This has been an amazing rack. I've had it for several years now, I think over 4 years if I'm not mistaken, and I haven't had any issues with it. The finish is flawless. The functionality is fantastic. There's really no complaints. Now, the power rack is also a very expensive piece of equipment, so you want to make sure you're choosing the right one. Now, how do you make sure you choose the right one? First of all, you can watch reviews on YouTube and you make sure the rack accommodates your goals, your objective, how you work out, how you train, things like that. That's kind of the beauty of having a home gym, building out a home gym, is you could get pieces of equipment that accommodate you specifically. You don't have to worry about your commercial gym getting a certain piece of equipment or whatever the case is. So you want to make sure it accommodates you. There's two very important things to make sure of. The depth and the height accommodate your space. So if you're in a basement with low ceilings, thankfully Rep Fitness and along with other equipment manufacturers like Rogue make 80-inch options so the rack can fit inside of lower ceiling areas and you don't have to kind of cram it in or cut holes in your ceiling to fit your rack in. So if you have the space, I personally like a 93-inch rack height because it allows you to do a lot of overhead things inside of the rack. I'm 6 foot and I could overhead press inside of the rack, no problem. The other thing is the depth. The 41-inch rack is the one that I went with because I had a smaller rack before and I did not like it. It was functional, it was okay, but I didn't like banging the uprights every single time I was squatting or bench pressing because the plates don't even clear the rack itself, so the depth. So I went with a 41-inch rack. Make sure the rack that you buy is compatible with the attachments that you want to get in the future. Well, now you have a rack, you've chosen a rack. What's next? You can't just sit in your rack and do nothing. You need a barbell. So I think the number two most essential thing in a home gym is, of course, the barbell. Some of you guys may say, well, a bar is a bar. Why are you making a whole point about a barbell? Well, the key point here is to make sure you choose a barbell that, again, accommodates your goals. That's the theme of a home gym, is that you could choose the equipment that accommodates your style, your goal, your objective. So if you're a power lifter and you're squatting a lot and you're squatting heavy, don't go and get a bar that's meant for CrossFit that has no center knurling, or get a deadlift bar that's gonna whip a bunch and make you extremely unstable at the bottom of your squat. Make sure you get the barbell that accommodates your training style. By the way, guys, everything that I talk about in this video is linked in the description below. I have the PR5000 V2, the barbells, and every other piece of equipment that I'm gonna talk about is gonna be linked in the description below. When you guys click that link, make sure to purchase through it if you're gonna do a purchase, because it helps me build the gym, helps me make more reviews. So back to the barbell. The bar that I went with is the Rep Fitness Power Bar. This is, I think, the just regular knurling. I think they make an aggressive knurling version of the power bar, which is extremely aggressive. And this by itself, the power bar by itself, the regular one, not the deep or aggressive knurling, is aggressive enough for me and for what I do. And if you guys are new to the garage gym or home gym and you guys have only used commercial gym barbells before, when you get a power bar, it just changes the way you look at barbells. There's so many options out there. Make sure you do your research on what the best option is, again, for your goal and for the way you train. So now we have a barbell. What's gonna go on the barbell? The weights. Now, the reason why I'm including this in the video is because the weights, the plates, there's so many different options as well. Some of you guys may say, well, iron plates are good for everybody. Not necessarily. If you're the kind of person who snatches a lot or does anything overhead and you're throwing the weights and you don't have a deadlift platform or you don't have any stall mats or anything like that, you don't want to damage the floor underneath you, especially if you're training at home. So people who do more CrossFit or weightlifting movements, will benefit from rubber plates or bumper plates. People who like the aesthetic and the old school feel and the budget-friendly options of just regular weights, regular iron plates, go with that. That's what I went with. I personally love the ringing of the plates hitting each other when you're benching or squatting or deadlifting, whatever. But then there's also a third option. If you're an avid power lifter, there's calibrated plates as well. So they're very, very precise. And the weight barely deviates, I think, by a couple grams for those calibrated plates. Now, keep in mind, they all have different price ranges. I think the cheapest one, from what I remember, are the iron plates. And then, of course, the extremely expensive ones are like the calibrated plates. And there's some really nice chrome lined plates. I mean, you can make a whole video about just what kind of plates you should choose for your home gym. But again, the main theme of the video is choose the equipment that fits your style of training. So now we kind of have a gym going. We have the essentials already. We have the rack, we have the barbell, we have some weights to put onto the barbell that fits inside of the rack. Everything is coming together, everything is fitting. So what else is necessary? Now, I was debating this for a little bit, but I think it's pretty universal that everybody needs some kind of bench press. Now, you could go with an incline bench press, you could go with a flat bench press. I personally, when I first started my home gym, I went with a flat bench press. Now, some of you guys may say, well, I never bench anyways. Why do I need a bench press? That is a good question. You can do split squats, you can do box jumps, you can sit down and do seated exercises like a seated shoulder press, you could do skull crushers on it, you could do so many different things with the bench press, but I think it is very, very essential to have somewhere in your gym to sit on that is stable and that could withstand a lot of weight. So my choice was the flat bench from Rep Fitness with the fat pad. I think once you try a fat pad, by the way, guys, home gym equipment is insane because it teaches you things that you never knew were options in home gyms. For example, or sorry, not home gyms, but in gyms in general. For example, the grippiness on the bench press is so different from the commercial gym bench presses that I've used my whole life. So when I finally began bench pressing on a fat, grippy pad, it was just a life changer. You guys need to try it for yourselves. It helps your shoulders, it stabilizes your back, and it really gets you comfortable on the bench press. So that is 4 things that I talked about already. We have everything set up. We have the rack, the barbell, the weights, the bench press. With those 4 things, I think you could accomplish dozens, if not hundreds of workouts and exercises with just those 4 things alone. Now, if you have money left over and you want to buy something extra, which I think is essential, but it could be debatable, I think is the dumbbells. If you guys have the space and the money for the dumbbells, they are so versatile. They allow you to do so many different exercises, movements. I think they just help you so much. My personal goals are more related to bodybuilding and powerlifting, mainly bodybuilding. So dumbbells are very, very essential for bodybuilders and anyone doing any kind of bodybuilding movements or exercises. If you're someone who does a lot of kettlebell movements, instead of getting dumbbells, replace that with kettlebells. You could also get adjustable dumbbells. There's so many different options of dumbbells. You could get urethane ones, you could get regular hex ones like this that are relatively cheap, or if you don't have a lot of space, but you do want to utilize dumbbells in your routines, you could get the adjustable one where it doesn't take up any space, but it's extremely versatile. So really, guys, that is it, man. I think if you have the stuff that I've mentioned, you're good to go. You basically don't need to add anything else, but if you wanted to, you could. And I think in the next video, that's exactly what I'm going to talk about. Accessories or extra equipment that I think are nice to have, not essential, but nice to have in your home gym. If you're able to, number 1, of course, afford it, and number 2, fit it inside of the space that you're working out in. So that is really it, guys. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you agree or disagree with any of the equipment that I mentioned in this video. Let me know if you would add or subtract anything from the list that I have. And as always, guys, I appreciate you guys for supporting the channel. Go ahead, hit the subscribe button if you're new. Check out all of the products in the description below. Also, don't forget to drop a like. Inshallah, see you guys in the next video. Peace.